I had made some funds when I was younger. Now, a lot of these funds that I've made had differing beliefs than I did. Okay, so some of them were Christian, some of them were like almost off-brand Christian. And when I say off-brand Christian, I kind of mean like they said they were Christians, but like they didn't even believe in the Trinity. So like they were Christians, but they were just a very weird kind. I honestly don't even know. But I had even made some like secular friends, and I even had one friend that was gay, and then his friends I got involved in, like, not in a gay way, but you get what I'm saying. So I kind of had some. I used to have some like really bad influences, and because of these bad influences, when I was younger, I started like listening to a lot of secular rappers. Like I'd listen to like Little TJ, Juice WRLD, King Von, Polo G, Little Baby, all of these secular rappers. Okay, and I did it kind of just to fit in, but then I realized I actually started liking these songs. And then me and my friends, we actually had this Discord server, and there was this bot that you can add, because like on Discord, you can add bots, right? And there's this bot that you can add that's called FM. And what this bot does is you put your Spotify in, and it tracks all the songs you listen to and your artists you listen to and the albums. And so, like I'd do like .fm or whatever, and it would show the song I was listening to, it showed the artist, all this stuff. But it had like a leaderboard for each song and artist and album and all that. So it almost made it like a competition. So every day, multiple times a day, me and my friends would be like, like be putting in commands. We'd see how much songs people are listening to, all this good stuff. So like it almost made like a competition, which incentivized me to listen to these secular artists even more. Okay, but then eventually started realizing how it was actually starting to affect my life. My name is Noah Lindsay. I am the founder of Purpose Ministries. And today I'm going to be talking about everyone's favorite subject. Can you or can you not listen to secular artists? Okay? It's a question that a lot of people just want to avoid, because when you listen to secular artists, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not physically doing bad actions. So it's kind of like it's like a hidden battle. Okay, so first I'm gonna read some Bible verses. I'm gonna go over them to see what the Bible actually says about it. Okay, now of course these Bible verses, these you know the Bible was written, or the Bible verses we're gonna be looking at was from 2,000 years ago and older. So of course back then you couldn't pull out your electronic device, your phone or your laptop or whatever, and listen to music. So of course these aren't going to be talking about the same thing we're talking about today. But even 2,000 years ago, they still dealt with some of the stuff that we deal with today, so it's still applicable. Okay, so first, we're going to be looking at Mark chapter 4, verse 24. Here it says, and he said to them, so this is Jesus talking, and he said to them, pay attention to what you hear. With the measure you use it, it will be measured to you, and still more will be added to you. So, the measure you use will be used back to you, okay? This verse is basically telling us to be careful. It's telling us to be careful because it says it will be measured to you. Basically, what this verse is saying is what you put into it, you will get back to you. Okay? If I put something good into something, chances are I'm going to get something good back to me, okay? Now, of course, this isn't something you want to be thinking about, like, you shouldn't go and help, an orphanage or something so good things come your way. Like, but that's just, the kind of the way of life, if you will, okay? And then in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, it says, above all else, okay, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Everything flows from it. Okay, so we're talking about above all else. Out of all of the things you do in the Christian life, okay, above all of them, you need to guard your heart. This shows you how important it is to, to keep your heart in check, basically. Everything flows from it. Now, we can kind of think of it like your lungs, okay? If you eat healthy food, well, think of your lungs as your heart, basically, okay? If you eat healthy food, if you treat your body well, your lungs are just going to be healthy, okay? Now, if you smoke and if you eat unhealthy food and you're doing drugs and all this stuff, okay, then your lungs are going to be all shriveled up. They're going to be black. Like I'm sure you've seen, like, in school and stuff, like those pictures of people that, like, smoke and all that. Like, they're, like, all black and they're shriveled up and all that. That's basically your heart, okay? If you're reading your Bible and you're praying and you're just, volunteering and doing good stuff and you're making your mind healthy, then your heart is going to be in a good place. It's going to look healthy, okay? But then if you are gossiping and you're listening to certain things you shouldn't, you're watching things you shouldn't, and you're saying things you shouldn't, then your heart is going to be just like those lungs. They're going to be all shriveled up and gross. Okay? And then in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. Do not conform, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Okay? So, everyone is listening to these rappers and to these pop artists, okay? To all this, dare I say it, sinful music. So listening, what the Bible is basically saying is listening to that kind of music is conforming. Okay, but at the end, Paul says, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. By the renewing of your mind, okay? So listening to secular music, listening to music that has bad messages on it is conforming, okay? But listening to Christian music, good music, worship music, is renewing, okay? So a good exercise is being like, okay, so you listen to a song. You look at the lyrics. Is this song, me listening to the song, am I conforming or am I renewing? Okay, so, if you, for example, if you're listening to like a Lil TJ song, chances are you're not going to be renewing your mind. Okay? So it's a good exercise. Is this conforming or renewing? So Ephesians chapter 5, verse 19, it says, speak to one another with psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, and make music for your heart to the Lord. So this is talking about music and just kind of, speaking, okay? So, songs from the Spirit. Now, what it's talking about here is Christian music, okay? Worship songs. Now, I'm not saying that, like, you can't listen to secular music, but what it's saying here is, you need to listen to Christian music, right? So I don't think you have to listen to only worship music and only Christian music, but it's got to be in the playlist, okay? You just need to, if you're listening to secular music, you need to make sure, okay, is this conforming or is this renewing? Conforming or renewing? Okay, so this is also talking about how to speak. So you need to speak good about people, or are you speaking bad about people, okay? Again, is your speech conforming or is it renewing? Are you talking good about your friends? Okay? Or are you talking bad? Are you gossiping or are you praising? Are you talking good for the Lord or are you talking bad for Him? Are you conforming or renewing? So, I was listening to all of these rappers for a while, okay? Like for, I don't know, a couple years. Like, and I didn't realize what it was doing to my mind. I kind of just listened to these songs, listened to these artists. I didn't realize what I was doing, okay? It's like I knew that my mind was being conformed. You know, like I kind of knew that I was thinking stuff that I shouldn't. Okay, I was saying stuff that I shouldn't. I was feeling stuff that I shouldn't. But I didn't. It's like I subconsciously knew, and I didn't care enough. If I'm being honest, yeah, I didn't care enough till you find out why. But then I watched this one Dre Drexel video. Now, if you don't know who Dre Drexel is, he is this like self-improvement kind of guy, but he's also a Christian, okay? And he was talking about how you shouldn't listen to, you know, secular music. Kind of like, you know, what we're talking about in this video, right? And he gave a lot of the same reasons I did. You know, just because the beat is good, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're there for it just for the beat. It's a compound effect. You slowly start thinking things, saying things, feeling things, but it starts off slow, okay? Like, almost no sin is ever going to start off big. It always starts slow. You don't think it's that bad, and then you do it a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then it becomes a problem. So I watched this video, which kind of helped me start to realize that, okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be listening to this stuff, okay? Then I had a family member, they sent me they knew the music I was listening to, so they sent me this playlist, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, the playlist was pretty bad. Like, the playlist was trash, okay? But the first song was Nintendo Switch by Jay Monty. Now, this song was fire, okay? This is probably about the only good song in this playlist, okay? But this song kind of helped me realize, okay, there is good Christian music, okay? Whether it be pop, whether it be, you know, I don't know, jazz or rock, or in my case, Christian rappers. There is good music. You just have to find it, right? So, I think the best way to fix this problem is to replace it. Now, with a lot of addictions and a lot of problems you have, replacing it's not a good thing. Like, you've probably seen that meme or whatever, being like, oh, the doctors come and they're like, oh, if you want to stop using that drug, here's this drug, they'll get you off of it. And then you get addicted to that one. And then you get prescribed another drug. Most addictions you don't want to replace. But this addiction, you can replace with good music, okay? Good Christian music. Now, it's definitely not easy, okay? You won't be able to do amazing at first, okay? And what I did is I just like went on Spotify and I just searched up like actually good Christian songs, well, actually good Christian rap songs, you know, and you can do the same thing for like pop or, you know, again, whatever you listen to, okay? And I don't think that listening to secular music is bad. I want to make that clear. I don't think that it's bad. It just depends on what kind you're listening to. If it's conveying a bad message that goes against the Bible, then you shouldn't listen to it. Again, are you conforming? Is the song making you conform or renew your mind? If it's in the middle, that's also fine. Like if it's not doing either, then, you know, it's fine, okay? but you want to be listening to enough Christian music where you are renewing your mind. Okay, if you're going to choose one, you want it to be renewing, not conforming. Now, the same thing kind of goes with TV shows and movies as well. Is like you're watching a show or a movie. What's the main character doing? Is he talking wisdom? Is he praising? Is he a good character? Or does he, do things that you shouldn't do? Is he going against the Bible, okay? Same thing with TV shows and movies. So kind of, again, when you watch a movie, when you're binging a TV show on Netflix or whatever, are you conforming or are you renewing? Okay? Now, something you definitely do need to remember is this is not easy. It took me a while. It took me a while to get past this, and even now, I still sometimes listen to music that I know I shouldn't. But it's kind of like in Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. He says, "Watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Now, even if you're not a Christian, you probably know that verse. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. But in so many cases, it's so true, okay? Our spirit wants to be a good Christian, okay? It wants to listen to good music. It wants to be a nice person. It wants to be a good person. It wants to praise people. It wants to do all these great things. It wants to do all these virtues. But the flesh is the reason we have all these vices, okay? The flesh is weak. So you're not going to just go from listening to bad music and then listening to good music. Okay, it's not 0 from 100, okay? It's kind of like a bell curve, okay? You start off kind of slow, you go up a little bit, and then you go down a lot. And then you go up a little bit, and then up a little bit, and then down, okay? Because it's just like a curve, okay? It's going to go up and down. Even when you think you've beaten the problem, eventually, it might go down a little bit again, okay? You might, get reminded of a song. Or you may go to a restaurant and hear a song you used to like, and then kind of get back into it, okay? But this is where, God comes in. God knows our flesh is weak, okay? God knows every problem we have. Now, if we just speak to Him, He will help us. If we speak to Him, He will help us, okay? Which means we need to show Him that we're serious. We need to be we need to be reading the Bible. We need to be praying, okay? And if we ask, then we will receive, okay? In His will, it's definitely God's will for us to listen to good music. Maybe it wasn't His will for us to never listen to bad music, because maybe, we can be a good influence for people that all listen to bad music, okay? But it is most definitely His will for you to listen to good music. Maybe not now, but it is His will, okay? So you need to always be talking to God about this, okay? With every problem, not just music, not just TV shows, not just movies, not just, just always you need to be talking to God, okay? Even if you're not asking Him, even if you're just talking to Him, be like, hey, God, this is a problem I have, explain the details. God knows, but He still wants His children to talk to Him. Okay, and you can also look up a devotional, on the Bible app. Everyone can get the Bible app, right? Go on the Bible app, search, how to overcome an addiction to, secular music. You need to take whatever steps necessary, just like any addiction. You need to take whatever steps necessary to stop, because it's not honoring God. I wish I would have, realized that sooner. This is not honoring God. Music, it doesn't seem like something that's that big of a deal. It just doesn't. But it is a big deal because it's making us think and feel and act in ways that we shouldn't. Okay? So you need to pray to God. If you want, if you don't know where to start with prayer, I'll have a video that's showing up right now. Okay? Peace, y'all.